Hey guys, it's Loves to Loom here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really cool Mutant Hexafish bracelet. This was created by Suzanne HB, also on Instagram as Crazy Just Might Work. Definitely check her out and give her a follow. She has the most super awesome designs and I just love them. This is her own design here. I did do a couple variations so you could see the difference here. Basically, depending on what colors you choose to lay, or where you decide to place the bands is how you come up with the different variations. So I did put a little more blue in this one, and on this one I did use a lot of white, but I have the two different colors on the outside, and these are the same colors on the back, but on this one here I did some of the white going down the sides, and then the front and back are actually different. So you could definitely play around with this bracelet a lot. It is also squishy, so if I did decide that I wanted the white running down the middle, say on this one here, you could just stretch and squish and pull until it's flattened out. And there you go. Now you have it running down the middle with that on the sides. So it's very versatile. I think she did a super awesome job on this. To make this bracelet, it did take me approximately 170 bands to make this one here. Of course, that varies depending on your wrist size. And without further ado, let's get started. To make this bracelet, you will need one loom, one C-clip, and your hook. You will need to remove the middle bar pin and have the two end bar pins align like so. We will be working with 6 pins. So I will be using these 6 right here in this square-like shape. It does not matter if you have an opening at the bottom, because after it starts growing, we will be inverting it upwards like we did with the Cobb Cabana bracelet. If you are familiar with that tutorial, it is very similar, except that we will continue laying in a square-like shape around the outside. So without further ado, I will be using white, yellow, and orange. I will be doing the same pattern that I did using the green and pink. So yeah, I'm going to take one single band to start, and we're going to actually lay this going horizontal. Actually, I'm going to use these pins first. So I'll be working with that square. I'm going to lay my white band here, but we need to double this first layer. So we're going to take our single white band using our fingers, and I'm just going to double loop it around like that. And then you're just going to lay it on your loom like that. We're going to actually outline the entire square doing that same thing. So grab another band, double loop it. And now we're going to go from this pin to this pin with the double loop band. Just lay it right on top. Like that. Now we're going to go from this pin here to that pin there. Make sure you double loop it. Coming down, we're going to do another one. It's a little tight. We're only doing this for the very first layer. It just helps with like the closure of the bracelet. And last, we're going to lay it from that pin there to that pin there. Just like that. Go ahead and give them a good push down because we don't want the next layer to get in our way. So I am going, this next layer that we are going to be laying is basically going to be, let me just grab my bracelet here. So for my vertical bands, I'm going to lay white, but then for my 2 horizontal bands, I am going to lay my color, which is how I created, you know, the pink on the side and the green on the side. So that can help you decide what you want to use. Every time I lay my, okay, we're going to do it in 2 steps. I'm trying not to be confusing. So we're going to lay, I do one whole layer in white, which is, you can see here, I have that whole layer in white there. And then the next layer, I lay white vertical, but then I fill these 2 in with color. So, and I alternate that every time. So if you want less white, instead of doing the white here when I do my colored bands, you can definitely choose another color. But so I can stop confusing you, let's go ahead and just continue the bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead, and I always like to lay my 2 vertical bands first. I like to stay consistent. You're just going to lay that vertically like that without any twisting, and this is 1 single band. So you just lay on those 2, and now I'm going to go ahead and lay my 2 horizontal ones. I'm going to go ahead and do orange here. And up here I'm going to lay 2 yellow. Just 1 single band like that. So now that we've done that, we do need to loop the bottoms up and over. But what you want to be careful of is we have the top layer here. I have my whites here. So you want to make sure you're not accidentally grabbing that white band that's up there. So I like to try to keep that towards the very top. So going here, starting on my left pin, there should be 4 bands on this corner here that we're going to be grabbing. They may be a little bit tight, but just grab all 4 of those and bring it up and over that pin. Coming to the middle, there's 4 bands there. All those whites need to come up and over. Coming to this right corner, we're doing the same thing, making sure not to grab that white band up here. Like that. So now I'm going to turn my loom around. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Starting on the left, I'm going to grab all 4 of these bands, bringing those up and over. Coming to the middle here, I'm going to grab all 4 of these. This side's a little tricky doing it on the angle that I'm on. Okay, and now for the last side. So it should look like that. All of those double bands are now brought up and over. Go ahead and push your bands down. If you turned your loom around, turn it back around so the arrows are facing in the right direction. And now we can go ahead and add on our next layer. So like I was explaining earlier, we will be alternating. So since this time I had my color in here, this layer I'm going to lay now will consist of all white. So again, I like to lay my verticals first. So I'm going to lay those 2 first. And if you don't do it that way and you just go like up and around, that's fine. I just think it looks cleaner if you stay consistent laying the 2 and then the 2 that way. So I laid those, so now I'm just going to go ahead and lay these. And we're still just using single bands. Once you do this a few times, it is super easy. So now we have all 4 of our bands laid, and now we're going to bring the bottom layer up and over. Now for this looping process, as you can see, we have 1 white and 1 orange. The middle one on both sides has just the orange. So for the ones that have the 2 different colors, it is recommended that you loop 1 at a time, starting with the white and then coming back to do the orange. It just makes the bracelet look a lot cleaner. So I'm going to grab that first white band, bringing that up and over, coming back down, grabbing the orange and bringing that over. So if you don't have patience to do that, you don't have to, but it's recommended that you stay consistent with whichever way you do it, just because you don't want the orange to be behind the white on this one, but in front of it on this one. It just makes the design not look as good. So coming to this pin, you can grab both of them at the same time, bringing them up and over because it's the same color. Coming down to the right side, I'm going to grab the white, bring that over, coming back, grabbing the orange, bringing that over. Turning it around. Going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm just going to grab my white, bring it up, bring my yellow up. I'm going to bring both my yellow up on this pin. Grabbing the white here, and then the yellow. So it should look like that. So as you can see, the white is on like the inside on all 4 of these. If you were to grab them both and just bring it up, sometimes it gets all twisted and it's not nice and clean like that. So that's the only reason we recommend that, but that definitely depends on your patient if you want to do that. It still does look good, just not as clean if they get twisted. So turn your loom back around, guys, and push down your bands. We're going to go ahead and add on our next layer. So since we have laid all of our white last time, and if you forget, you can just look on your pins to see if there's color, which there is not. So since we laid our white, I'm going to go ahead and lay the layer with the color in it. So my ends are always white, so I'll do those verticals first. But now I'm going to go ahead and add my colors. So I'll do my 2 colors here. And my yellows up here. And now we're going to go ahead and loop again. For when we are looping the white up and over, you can grab both 2 bottom bands and loop them at the same time. Since they're the same color, it doesn't matter. So we're going around all 6 pins, bringing the bottom 2 bands up and over. 2 bands coming up and over on all of these pins. Just like that. Turn your loom back around. Push those down. And now I'm going to lay on my next layer again, which is going to be all white. So I'm going to lay my 2 vertical. Now my horizontal. And now we can go ahead and loop again. So remember, you want to grab that first band and then the second band. Grabbing both 2 bands here. There's always going to be 2 bands underneath that need to come up and over. So just remember that. Go ahead and turn your loom around. And we can do this side as well. Pushing my bands down, I'm going to turn my loom back around again. And I'm going to add on my next layer. But this time I'm remembering to add my color in the centers. And now I'm going to go ahead and loop the bottoms up and over again. Since we're on the white, it's easier because I can grab both bottom bands at the same time and bring them all up and over. Doing that again on the back side. Now once we start to get some length, which I think we may have enough, I might do one more layer, we're actually going to push up so that the bracelet grows up instead of down, just like we did with the Cabana bracelet. If you've seen that tutorial, it grows upwards instead of out, which is, or instead of down, which is how you get the effect of this design. So I'm going to do one more layer before I do that. So I'm going back to my white. And I definitely feel like this bracelet is super duper easy to make. I guess the main part would be remembering, you know, what colors to lay. But you can do so many different variations with the colors. Now that I laid all 4, I'm going to loop the bottom up and over, doing one at a time on those 2. Turning it around, doing the same on the right or the opposite side. And now it's getting quite long, so we don't want to get too long or we won't be able to turn it around. So what you're going to do, I'm going to turn my loom around first. What we're going to do is I would actually push your bands down because you have to hold on to these bands. And from underneath, you can even flip it over if you want. You need to put your finger underneath, but make sure you're holding on top so they don't fly off of the pins. you're going to use your finger and just push and push and push up until that bracelet pops in the other direction. So you can even do it with it facing up. I think it's easier with it down. So as you can see, it just popped up here. And now I'm actually going to just kind of squeeze it a little bit. And it starts to give it that flatter effect, which you can squish it and pull at it as it continues to grow. For now, we just want to make sure that it is facing in the upward direction like that. So just remember that when you do go like this to pull on it, that you're holding on to them, because I actually pulled really hard and it all just popped right off. So be very careful with that. So now we can go ahead and continue laying our bands. It's super easy even when this gets long because you're just going around the outside of it. So I have to lay my colors again. So I will start with my white border vertical ones. And now I will lay my 2 horizontal orange. Going to the top, I will lay my yellow. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and loop the bottoms up and over once again. You can even just go like this if it's easier and grab the 2 from the back and bring it over. If it's easier than turning your loom around back and forth, that's definitely going to be your preference. You just want to make sure you're not grabbing bands that you shouldn't. So I do recommend turning it around so you don't mess up on accident. Pushing that down, I'm going to go ahead and lay my white border bands again. Just like that, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the looping process again. Grabbing one at a time on the ones with 2 colors. Turning my loom around to do it again on the opposite side. That yellow is kind of bright. I didn't realize it would be that bright. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty clear. As you can see, it's starting to sink back down in there, so you're going to want to pull up on that. And it starts to grow a little bit. So I think it's super duper easy, guys. That is literally what you do the entire time. You just alternate and you just keep laying that square-like shape until you reach the desired length. So I'm going to go off camera, finish up the length of my bracelet, and then I will come back and show you how to close it up. Feel free to watch the previous instructions if you need a little more guidance. Okay guys, so I did go ahead and finish up the length of my bracelet. So now we can go ahead and get it closed up together. You just want to make sure the last colors on your pins are all of your solid colors. I mean, it really doesn't make a huge difference. I just like it to all be closed on white. So yeah, you do, however, need to make sure that you only have 2 bands on your pins on each one of them. So all 6, just make sure even the back ones only have 2 bands. Starting on this side, what we're going to do, starting on this right side, we're going to take the right side and move it to the middle. So just carefully remove those from the pin. You can use your finger to help guide it. And just bring it over onto that middle pin like that. You want to keep them separate from the bottom, because now we're going to bring these bottom bands up and over. Push that down. Now we're going to do the same to the left side. Carefully remove those from the pin and bring them to the middle as well. Just make sure you get both of those bands on there. Now we're going to bring the 2 bottom bands up and over that as well. Now we're going to turn your loom around, and we're going to do the same exact step on this side. So starting with the right, I'm going to take these bands off of the pin and bring them over to the middle. Now we're going to grab the very bottom 2 bands and bring it over. And now we're going to do the same on the left pin. Remove it from the pin and bring it over to the middle like so. Grab the 2 bottom bands and bring it over. Now that we've done that, we can actually join, sorry about that. We can join the 2 sides. So if you see here on mine, it might be hard to see because of the light, it's kind of like jumbled. So holding on to the 2 sides, you can just give it a pull like that. And that makes it easier to grab. I'm going to grab this top side, so there's 2 bands up here. I'm just going to grab those 2 and add them down here, because this is where we're going to add our C-clip. You can just slide it in onto your hook and pop it off and do it, or you can just slide your hook down in there, putting the C-clip around all 4 of those bands. And make sure you get it around all 4. Mine actually came off, so I don't have it around all 4. No, I don't. So hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, so I did go ahead and make sure mine was around all 4 because they did pop off. Coming down to the other side, there's a bunch of bands in there, as you can see. I just put my fingers down in the very middle and try to grab 2 to 3 of the white bands in there. The more you have, the more tighter it's going to be. You can even use your hook. I'm going to grab 3 of them. There are actually 4, but I don't know if they'll all fit on the pin. But you can try to, or not the pin, the C-clip. I will try to and see if they all fit. I think I only actually did 2 on my last ones. But grab the other end. Yep, they fit. So, and just clip it through like that. And bada bing, bada boom. There you have the completed Mutant Hexafish bracelet. I'm just going to zoom out a little. So, I really like this design. I think it's super cool and cute. And like I said, it's like squishy. So, it's not like, it's like super duper comfy. So, no matter how much you stretch it, they do stay together. Like I said, she also did the Cabana bracelet, or Cabana bracelet, excuse me. And when you pull that one, it makes some space. But this one actually stays together, which I think is super duper cool. So once again, this design was created by Suzanne HB. She's on Instagram as Crazy Just Might Work. Please check her out. Give her a follow. You can definitely keep tabs on what she has to come out. She has some super awesome designs. You can also check me out at Loves to Loom on Instagram as well. So we really appreciate you guys watching the tutorial. I think it's super awesome, so please give it a big thumbs up if it helped you out at all. And if you have not done so already, hit the subscribe button below as well. So I do appreciate you guys watching so much, and I will see you at my next tutorial. Bye!